Aloha, this is Business in Hawaii with Reg Baker. We are streaming live on livestream.com, so please join us. We also rebroadcast periodically on Olelo, channel 54, and also on PBS, and we're on YouTube. So we're every Thursday at 2 o'clock, so please join us. This is a story, this is a business program talking about the positive stories of businesses in Hawaii. There are challenges, we all know that, but we want to talk about the positive and how we get around those challenges. And we are broadcasting live from the Pioneer Plaza in downtown Honolulu, the ThinkTech studios. So please, I'd like to welcome Jan Kaeo, who heads up the Dale Carnegie operations here in Hawaii and Guam. Welcome, Jan.
Thanks for having me.
All right, well, as you know, we're going to be talking a little bit about positive stories in Hawaii, and I'm sure you've got a lot to share, and we're excited to have you here to share those with us. But could you just spend a little bit in time and just share with us your background and your experience, and how did you get to doing what you're doing?
Oh my gosh, I don't know how interesting that story is. I grew up in Kalihi. I grew up just off of Liliha Street and went to Lanakila Elementary, and then went to Kawananakoa Intermediate School. I learned a lot about life there. And at the moment I needed to go to high school, my choice was to go to Farrington or to go to McKinley. And it was a real turning point because, you know, my last name is Kaeo, and, you know, I'm not that brown. My sisters and I are dark brown, medium brown, and then I'm at the other end of the spectrum. And I was being challenged to either join the kids who were getting in trouble a lot, or to make a decision to choose the other group that was not necessarily brown. And it was a really tough choice at that point in my life. And I knew that if I went to one school, I would get in trouble for joining one group or not. And if I went to the other school, I would be in the same predicament. So I really begged my parents to send me to a private school. Now, my parents were, we weren't wealthy, we were just average middle-class family. And they said to me, you know, Jan, we can't afford to send you to private school. None of our family has ever gone to a private school. And I said, I'll do whatever it takes to go, because I really could see my life down the road and didn't like where it was going.
Now, Jen, how old were you at this time?
I was going into the 10th grade, so I was 15.
So you've had this awareness for quite a while about how to change your future and how you can make that happen.
Well, I was a good daughter. I listened to my parents, and they said, you know, you are like the people you hang around with. And so I knew that if I continued down the path that I was going, I would be very average, and I didn't like that lifestyle. I really wanted more for my life, and I knew that I had to make a change.
Very good. So it's good to have that awareness at an early age.
Yeah, it really is.
Very good. So where did you end up going?
Well, I went to Marino High School, very proud graduate. I had a working scholarship, and I was very proud to have to sweep the floors in order to be able to go to Marino.
Very good. Congratulations. Although I didn't have that same background, I had to wash dishes and work in the cafeteria in order for me to go to school. So I know exactly where you're coming from.
Yep.
Very good. And then after high school, what happened?
I went to the University of Hawaii, and I was one of the last double degree candidates who fought for my double degree. And
so you were one of the first ones to make that available to everybody then?
No, I was one of the last. They actually changed the policy in my senior year, and I really had to fight to get both degrees that I had earned over 5 years.
Interesting. And what were those 2 degrees that you got?
Well, I'm a little embarrassed to say that I have a bachelor's in business with a specialty in accounting. I don't know if anybody would hire me as an accountant, but...
Well, hold on, time out. Why would that be embarrassing?
Well, I wasn't the best accounting student, but I did graduate. And then I knew that one of the big weaknesses of our kids in Hawaii is that we were not able, as a group, to step outside of our comfort zone and do public speaking, to be able to communicate our ideas, to be able to handle stress in the workplace. And so I decided to also get a Bachelor of Arts with a major in speech.
Ah, very good. All right. So, and how has that helped you? You know, having that accounting degree and that speech focus, how has that helped you in your career?
Well, the accounting degree was to be able to understand the nuts and bolts of business. I knew that I wanted to do something in business. That was the future, and understanding financial statements, understanding how the numbers dovetailed into profitability or no profit was very important, and so that's why I majored in accounting.
Right. It's getting that comfort with the analytics of a business.
Absolutely.
That sometimes it's not always the determining factor whether the business is going to be successful, but it does indicate how successful or whether or not it's maybe not as successful as it could be.
Right.
That's very good. And then the speech part of this?
And the speech part really gave me a lot of self-confidence in being able to communicate my ideas, to stand up for myself, and to be able to share my ideas or get my ideas at least heard.
Right, and I think part of doing these presentations is having a convincing component or element to it. And I would imagine that that has served you well over the years, because now you have transitioned into somewhat of a sales and marketing type of focus, aren't you? I mean, having your own business and working with Dale Carnegie, that is something that definitely you need to get out in front of people and sell.
Absolutely. You know, when I was in my 20s, I was very conscientious, and I worried about every part of my life and everyone else's life and the world at large. And I had not been able to manage my own stress. Mm-hmm. And so when a dear colleague presented me with the Dale Carnegie course as an option, I thought it was a presentations course or a communications course, and I said, you know, I don't think I need that. I graduated with a degree in speech. I think I can speak in front of people. And he said, well, one of the things that you talked to me about was the fact that you're an insomniac, and you know, managing stress is a key part of what we do in the Dale Carnegie programs. So I said, really? And he said, yeah, you know, Dale Carnegie wrote a book called How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. He said, so you should take the course. So I did. I paid for my own course, and I can tell you I practiced the things that I learned in that course, both in communication and in speaking, and especially with stress management. And I've never been an insomniac again.
Very good.
I learned to manage my own stress.
I guess that is some of the magic of Dale Carnegie.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, so you have gone from being a student, taking the Dale Carnegie courses, to actually now, have you taught the Dale Carnegie courses as well?
Well, to become a Dale Carnegie course instructor is a pretty long, pretty arduous process. Our trainers, there's 2,700 trainers across the world. We're in 90 countries. And it takes about 1.5 to 2 years to become a certified trainer.
Wow,
we
are
ISO certified, which means in the manufacturing industry that we have a proven duplicating process to ensure success. And then we are also an accredited institution, and they put a lot of restrictions and a lot of emphasis on the quality of the training. So I am a certified sales instructor, and I'm also certified to train our workshops. We have about 200 different workshops that are available through the Dale Carnegie program.
So there's a difference then between a course and a workshop?
Absolutely.
Okay, see, I didn't know that. Okay, and maybe in our next segment we can go into a little bit of details on that. But you have gone from growing up in Kalihi to going to University of Hawaii, having a double major, and then now you've taken a course or two in Dale Carnegie, and now can I say that you own the company here in Hawaii and Guam, and you're running the show?
Yes, absolutely.
Very good. That's impressive. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's a privilege. It's really a privilege. I bought the Dale Carnegie training programs with my partner, Tom Jones, because both of us are very involved in the community. We believe that, You need to be part of the change. So if you don't like something, you need to step in and do something to help transform it. And the Dale Carnegie programs are a set of programs that helps our young and not so young people develop more self-confidence, develop more leadership skills, become better presenters, not a public speaker, but being able to share your ideas, be able to sell your ideas to your boss, be able to handle difficult people, communicate with diplomacy and tact. All of those skills are critical for someone to become more successful than they already are.
Of course, and if you have any interaction with the public or people within a company, all these skills come into play.
Absolutely.
That's very good. What was the key to your success? I mean, you've obviously come a long way and you've been very successful. Is there any key to your success?
I think the one thing that I learned from the Dale Carnegie programs 25 years ago is how important it is to live your life with intention. So be very intentional about what you want and what you want to accomplish. Be very intentional with the words that you speak. When I was raising my son, I have a son who's 19 that I'm very, very proud of. I was very careful about how many times I said no to him. I tend to be the disciplinarian in our family, but I was very careful not to say no to him. I understand that kids say about 8,000 no's before they even enter school, and they only hear maybe about 1,500 yeses. And so I really wanted to change that mix because I wanted him to be a child that was a possibility thinker, that had enough confidence in himself to believe that he can accomplish great things.
Now that can be a little tricky at times.
Yes,
You
it
know,
would be
'cause
very creative.
Yeah, I would imagine so. I've got 3 boys, and I guess now that you mention it, I'm probably more used to saying no than yes. You know, primarily because I'm trying to protect them, and I don't want to see them get hurt.
Right.
But if you see a situation like with your son, how do you diplomatically say, no, don't do that, there's other options? I mean, how do you get around saying no?
Well, for instance, if have you ever noticed if you say, don't touch the stove, they touch the stove, right? Because that's the image that you've placed in their mind.
Exactly, why not?
Yeah.
You know, I want to find out what's going on up there that you're not letting me see.
So what you want to do is if you're dealing with children, you want to tell them what you want them to do, not what you don't want them to do. So instead of don't touch the stove, you might say hands down, because that's exactly what you want them to do. So they're less likely to touch the stove because the instructions that you have given them are clearer.
So maybe the message is the same, it's just the presentation.
Yes, yes.
And this is coming from somebody who majored in speech and presentations. All right, well, that makes sense.
Well, communication is, I believe it's 86% nonverbal and only about whatever the difference is in verbal.
Right, 14%. Yeah, and I guess the body language.
Yes.
Now, is body language something that you also studied when you were going through the speech curriculum?
At the university, yes. Lots of information, and part of our course curriculum involved both verbal and nonverbal communication.
Right.
It's a fascinating topic.
I was just going to say, I've always been interested in the nonverbal, you know, just watching people, you know, fold their arms and sit back or look up to the sky, or
Right.
where they look sometimes
Right.
reflect what they're thinking. That's very good. And that could be actually a very powerful skill to have.
Yes, yes, very much so. When I'm doing sales coaching, which we often do before they start sales training and throughout the program, we talk a lot about their professional persona, the things that they do just naturally, and how that can either support their focus in sales or actually detract from it. I was working with a young local man, and who came from, he said, you know, I came from the projects. And I said, but do you live in the projects now? And he said, no. And I said, so, but your behavior tells me that you came from the projects. If that isn't working for you now, then now is a great opportunity to make some changes. And he said to me, no one's ever said that to me before. No one ever said to me that certain gestures would not work in this professional environment. So there's a real need to help, especially our young people, become aware of what they do and what they say and how they say it can translate either to be a successful relationship or not.
Very good. And I read a book called Dress for Success.
Yes.
And it influenced my life quite a bit. And a very small thing that I learned from that is when I'm presenting, when I'm talking to people, don't let my mouth hang open. Close the lips.
Ah,
And that was, sometimes the message is being sent by having your mouth open
right,
is not a positive one.
right.
But we need to wrap up this segment. It's time for a little bit of a break.
Okay.
This is Business in Hawaii with Reg Baker, meeting with the Dale Carnegie owner in Hawaii and Guam, Jan Kaeo, and we will be right back. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Cindy Matsuki, and I host the show High Growth with HTDC on ThinkTech Hawaii. This is the show where we talk about all things tech, innovation, entrepreneurship, and manufacturing, because there's so many things going on in Hawaii and more people should know about them. So this is the program that you can come and find out about all the things happening in Hawaii. And this show also airs on Olelo 54 along with ThinkTech Hawaii. And it broadcasts live every other Tuesday at 3 p.m. So don't forget, check out the show Tuesday, 3 p.m. every other week. High Growth with HTDC. Thanks.
Aloha, my name is Roy Kodani, and every Wednesday at 1 p.m. I host Life in the Law, which is a segment of ThinkTech Hawaii. And basically, I host guests who have some relevancy to law in Hawaii. And I hope you will continue to tune in. If you have questions, tweet us at ThinkTech Hawaii. Mahalo.
Welcome back. This is Reg Baker, Business in Hawaii, and I'm here with Jan Kaeo, who is the owner of Dale Carnegie operations in Hawaii and Guam. And we're going to be getting a little bit into the details of how Dale Carnegie gets this magic out to everybody and helps. I guess there's a lot of not only business, but also self-improvement components to this, isn't there?
Right. Actually, Dale Carnegie in the 1930s began in New York. He was a super salesperson, but he really wanted to be an actor, and he was a great teacher. It didn't quite work out for him in acting, and so he began to teach lots and lots of people what he felt was important to them in business. And he thought it was public speaking, but he found out every week that their biggest challenges surrounded getting along with others, getting along with their boss, people on their team, and getting along with their family. And so he looked for a text to teach from, and there wasn't one. So he decided that he would write one, and he researched all of the influencers of the time, Mr. Carnegie from Carnegie Mellon. He interviewed presidents. He talked to the industrialists of the time and wrote the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
I didn't know that. I was looking at the website, and I saw, actually it was in Wikipedia.
Oh, Wikipedia? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I was reading a little bit about him, and I didn't realize that he had written that book.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's actually, is what kind of set his career in motion? I mean, is that what really caused it to take off?
Well, from the moment it was published, it became a bestseller, and up until about 10 years ago, it was the #2 bestseller of all time behind the Bible.
Wow.
And every year, Forbes magazine, Entrepreneur magazine, Inc. magazine produces the books that business people should read, and that book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, is always on the list. It's a powerful book.
And it's not that big, is it? I mean, I've seen it. I mean, there's only, what, a couple hundred pages in there?
Yeah, only a couple hundred pages. It's written in story form. It's very easy to read. It's something you can pick up and read for a couple of minutes and put it down and still find a lot of value. And everything that he has taught is principle-based. So we often hear that, this is the stuff that my mother and my grandmother taught me. So isn't it just common sense? Well, for many people, it may be common sense, but it's just not common practice. So I think what's different about Dale Carnegie Training is it has stood the test of time. We're over 100 years old, but more importantly, it's relatable, it's practical, and it works even today.
Very good. Well, that's impressive. So that's a must-read book, I think, for everybody
I think so.
to pick up and spend some time with. All right, so tell me a little bit. Now, we talked a little bit about the courses and then the workshops, and there's a difference between the two. So can you just give me a little bit of an overview on what those differences are?
Well, we have almost 8 million graduates of the Dale Carnegie course, which is about effective communication and building better relationships, interpersonal communication. And that is the foundational course using all of his 30 human relations principles to build better relationships, to become a better leader, to communicate at a higher level, to handle your stress. From that, we have courses that have been developed for leaders. We have a leadership training for managers course. The courses are time-spaced, and I think the reason why those courses are so effective is that the participants have an opportunity to come in and develop a skill, practice it in a classroom, which is a safe environment, and then take what they've learned and go out into their workplace and practice it in their workplace, not on their people, but with their people, and then come back and report on those successes, and then build on that skill set. So they build confidence and they build skills for success.
So when you say practice in the classroom in a safe environment, are you talking like role model type of scenario?
We do role playing. We also, if you're learning how to communicate with diplomacy and tact, there's a process, and you learn the process. You practice it maybe with a partner, or you might practice in a group of 3 or 4, or in a small group. And then with coaching, you learn how to do it well, and then you go back tomorrow and practice it in your workplace.
Very good. And now that is the description of a course.
Correct.
Okay. Now, how does workshops differ from a course?
There are many great workshops out there, and there are many vendors that deliver great workshops. Workshops will usually focus on 1 or 2 skills or tips that you want to learn in a specific area, and it's great information. What happens usually is you spend 1, 2, 3, 4 hours in a workshop. Great stuff, can't wait to practice it. You take it back to your workplace, and then life happens, 3 problems that you need, a couple fires you need to put out, and this information that's great goes from one end of the table to the other end of the table. You'll get around to it one day, and there's no accountability to be able to practice that in the workplace. So I remember a percentage that was quoted in college that about 10% of what you learn in a workshop may be retained, may not be used, but will be retained. And if you've been to a lot of workshops, then you have a more opportunity to use it. But most people, great information, but most people don't put it into practice. So if possible, the best way to learn is in a time-spaced program like the Dale Carnegie course or the sales training program.
When you say time-spaced, what does that mean?
It means that you have a series of sessions in a program that you're building skills on a specific area like leadership or sales, and every week you're building on that skill set.
So it's like in a sequence. I see.
Absolutely.
I see. And these courses and these workshops, it sounds like these aren't things that you can learn online. I mean, you actually have to go to a classroom and participate with the group and have the coaching there for it to be really effective.
Well, we do have live programs in Honolulu, and we're looking to branch out to the West End because there's a tremendous growth out on the leeward side. And we do have live online programming. We have about 130 programs that are available, so it really helps with our neighbor island clients and for our Guam clients. And live online means we are looking to duplicate that live experience on an online forum, much like what you're doing here. We use a platform called Adobe Connect that allows us to put individuals into groups or pairs or different chat areas, and we can separate them, let them have a conversation on a specific topic, and then bring them back in. You can raise your hand and set notes and have sidebar conversations. It's a great platform.
Oh, I love the technology we have
Yes.
today. It really allows you to reach out and get this into a lot of different areas that maybe you wouldn't have been able to do before. Now, how active are you in Guam?
Not very active in Guam. I recognize that Guam is a very special place with very key centers of influence. I will not pretend that I know what I'm doing out there. So I really need to partner with people who really understand the culture of Guam and the way they do business. And so I've been working, I'm in my 4th year, I've been working on establishing relationships. And probably in the next 6 months, I will go to Guam and see what they think about us. We used to have a big presence when Mr. Carnegie's stepdaughter lived in Guam, and they did many programs out there, so we do have graduates already out there. And so I'd really like to build that again in the next couple of years.
And that could be a big help if you can just tap into that alumni organization
Yes.
out there, and you know, maybe there's somebody there that has a special place in their heart for the program.
Absolutely.
And they can embrace it.
I'm looking for an area manager, so if one of you are out there, please contact me. It's
Very
open.
good. And do you have a website or email that they can contact you at?
Yes, our website is hawaii.dalecarnegie.com. And if you even Google Dale Carnegie Hawaii, it'll take you right to our website.
Pop right up.
And my email is very easy. I'm very accessible. It's Jan Kaeo at dalecarnegiehawaii.com.
Very good. All right, and then especially anybody who's got ties to Guam or maybe is an alumni of the program in Guam, you'd like to
Yes.
hear from them. Super. Very good. What else is going on with, I mean, you've got all these programs, you've got them online, you've got them, I guess, live. How many programs do you actually have?
Wow, we have probably our core programs, there's probably 8 core programs that we run. We often run specific workshops periodically that are driven by the demand of the market. It's, you know, in Dale Carnegie, it's not about what we want, it's really about what our customers want. We're very customer focused. That is the essence of who we are. We find that there's a big increase in interest in sales training, which I'm very excited about because I'm very passionate about sales training. I know that my experience as a seller can really help others, and I'm excited to do that. We've had great results with our sales training. We also have an increased interest in leadership training. So we do workshops that are really workshops and courses that are focused in those areas.
You know, I wish we had had this conversation a while back because I've managed some large sales forces and I've been involved with some large companies in the past. And I would love to have tried to negotiate some kind of a deal to bring you in and provide some of this training to my salespeople and maybe my management team to help maybe make things go a little bit smoother. And do you have a corporate type of training program available to companies that wanted to buy maybe a package, you know, that they could offer their employees?
Absolutely, we do, and we have many companies who have tuition assistance programs. We're also very proud to say that we are one of 22 vendors that have been approved as an ETF vendor. So that's an state of Hawaii employee training fund that will contribute to training your employees to increase their skill set.
So you can get part of the tuition covered by the state?
Yes.
All right.
Yes. It's
Very
working
good.
great with some of our customer service workshops and some of our sales manager workshops. So happy to talk to people about that.
All right, very good. Well, that sounds like a nice opportunity. We're going to have to take another short break here.
Okay.
But we're going to come back and talk a little bit more about the future and where you think this is all headed.
Okay.
This is Reg Baker. I'm the host of Business in Hawaii. And we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back in about a minute. Thank you.
Hi, Jay.
Hi, Keith.
My name's Keith Bettinger.
I knew that.
And I'm the host of ThinkTech Asia.
I knew that too.
Here on ThinkTech.
Fabulous. You got a great show going, Keith.
Thank you very much. And for our viewers out there that are interested in ThinkTech Asia, it airs every Tuesday from 4 to 4:45. And it can be accessed online at thinktech.com.
Yeah, so what kind of guests you like?
Well, we have a number of guests from academia. practitioners of international affairs. Sometimes we have military officials. Sometimes we have public officials on the show. And our goal, we try to talk about current issues in South Asia, Southeast Asia, East Asia, and Central Asia, all throughout the Asian realm in more depth than you would find in traditional mainstream
That's the
media.
difference, isn't it?
Exactly.
That you're reaching out beyond what ordinary news media would do.
Right.
And that's why we like you so much.
We're trying to provide a thinking person's perspective, an intelligent perspective on what's going on, and where both sides of the story, or even when there's more than two sides, we try to cover every angle. And I think that that's one of the big benefits that we provide here at ThinkTech. Is it's a really innovative source of educational programming for the people of Hawaii.
You're great, Keith. You are a great host. You got a great show going on. I watch it every week.
Thanks very much.
Why don't you guys watch it every week too, okay?
4:45 to 4 to 4:45 every Tuesday.
Aloha, this is Alice V. Hagen from ThinkTech Hawaii Business Education Spotlight. My show is a bi-weekly show on Thursday from 3 to 4 p.m. We invite interesting people, entrepreneurs, fascinating leaders who contribute to the social economic well-being of our state. Please tune in to my show, Business Education Spotlight, ThinkTech Hawaii, bi-weekly, Thursday, 3 to 4 p.m. Aloha.
Aloha, I'm Carlos Juarez, host of Global Connections, and I want to invite you to come join us. We cover a range of global issues. We bring a lot of expert opinion, a lot of issues, whether they're contemporary events happening in the world or maybe looking at things from a more historical perspective. Global issues, very important for us to understand in this globally interconnected world. Join us here on Global Connections.
Welcome back. This is Reg Baker, Business in Hawaii. I'm here with the owner and operator of Dale Carnegie for Hawaii and Guam. And Jan, we were talking a little bit off camera here about this corporate package that might be available to people that were interested. And I know that there's a member-to-member benefit at the Chamber of Commerce of Hawaii where you can actually offer special pricing to chamber members. Have you thought at all about maybe participating in that?
We haven't. You know, I think we're like many chamber members. We're happy to be a member, and we try to take advantage of what's offered, but we never look at it as a benefit. How can we benefit from the, or take advantage of our membership?
Sure.
I need to take a look at that.
You do. We need to talk a little bit because not only is that value add opportunity there, but there's also these Focus On series on that are training courses that are focused on the small, mid-sized business marketplace. And some of what you're offering could be, I think, an important value to this membership and help them to be more successful. So,
Good.
yeah, we'll have to talk more
We'll
off
have to
camera
talk.
on that. That's
Okay.
great. Now, I know you mentioned that you're planning on taking a deeper dive into the Guam marketplace and see what can be developed there. What else do you have in the pipeline for the future for yourself and for Dale Carnegie?
Well, you know, Reg, in 2008, we all remember that huge crash, and it affected so many businesses, put a lot of businesses out. People tightened their belt. First they cut advertising and then they cut training, or maybe they cut training first and then they cut advertising. And 2008 till today is 7 years, and in 7 years, many businesses have not focused on succession planning. So they have the senior leadership ready to retire, and the next tier is not ready to move up. So there's a great opportunity for people and organizations like myself to come in and support those businesses by helping their leadership develop quickly and be able to be in a position to be promotable. And my focus is to make sure that the people that are considered with my clients are the local people. They're given an opportunity to be promoted. And I always ask clients when they come in for some pre-coaching, are you promotable? If not, that's a really good reason why we're having this conversation today, because you want our local people to be given that opportunity, the same opportunity that we're giving people who are from Arkansas or from Michigan or from Indiana, because I believe that the reason why I bought the Dale Carnegie business is because I believe our people in Hawaii are just as talented, they are just as smart, They have the work ethic that others have, and they just don't necessarily have the ability to communicate that value. They don't feel comfortable speaking in front of a group or giving directions to a team. It is a learned skill. And so what we do is we provide that opportunity and help them become really good at it in a very short period of time so that they can be in a position to do more for themselves, do more for their families, do more for our community. It's kind of a trickle-down effect.
You know, I totally agree, and I'm anxious for us to hurry up and have some change in that area. I've got 3 sons, and I know 2 of them are working on the mainland. And I would prefer that an opportunity would present itself that would allow them to come back. And you know, there's other variables. I mean, the cost of housing, et cetera.
Right.
Cost of living here is high, but you know, we hear all these negative stories about worst place for business and this and that and everything else. But I just heard today that our unemployment rate dropped down to, I think it was around 3%. So we definitely need people here.
Absolutely.
And I think if we can just figure out a way to keep our children from leaving, there's going to be a lot of good benefits derived from that. So I think we all need to focus on that a little bit. What else, as far as how you're going to try and spread the word on this? What else are you going to be doing? Are you going to be doing, you know, bringing on some more salespeople? Are you going to be becoming more visible out there? What is your plans for marketing the company?
We are in a growth mode. We're in year 4, and I predict that we have probably 3 or 4 more years of double-digit growth.
Very good.
Before we will plateau. I am looking to hire a salesperson very quickly. I am looking for some additional admin help. What we offer in our organization is great free training to help them get where they want to go. Hopefully it's to stay with us, that we're a company that earns their loyalty, and we're a fun bunch of people to hang out with. But that's what we're looking for.
So you're hiring?
We're hiring. We're also starting a trainer program. My goal is to raise up 5 new certified trainers by next summer, because the work is presenting itself. We are just beginning to have a good presence on the neighbor islands. We went to Maui 6 times and worked with some great people there. We've been to Kauai 3 times. And I have the Big Island calling us to please bring Dale Carnegie to the Big Island. We really need what you have to offer. So I think the future is good. There are a lot of things that you and I talked before. There are a lot of things that are not necessarily positive. Some of them we can change, and some of them we can't. But one of the best ways to change is to focus on the things that you can change, and then just do that really, really well. So that's my goal.
Well, very good. And I guess that just boils down to having the proper attitude.
Absolutely. It begins with attitude, your own attitude, and your positive attitude is infectious, and so is your negative attitude. So every day when I wake up, I and everybody else decides what kind of attitude they're going to have when they face the day.
Yeah, and well, that's why I love having you on as a guest, because part of what we're trying to communicate here is the positive can-do stories of doing business in Hawaii. And it all starts with that attitude.
Right.
And I think you're a good role model for that. So
Well, thank
very
you.
good. Any other words of wisdom or anything you want to leave with our audience that is that you would feel would be value add?
Well, I've said to participants that are, or interested parties, if you're not happy with what you're doing now, if you're not happy with your life, if you are struggling along and things aren't happening for you, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, driving back and forth in traffic every day and expecting a different result. In order to get a different result, you may be doing 98% of the things correct or in the right way, but 1% change could have a huge ripple effect. Learning how not to say no to your 1-year-old could be a huge change when they're 10 or 11 or 15. So be very intentional about, look at what you want in your life and begin to surround yourself with people and information and education to get where you want to go. It's really up to you, and everything you do presents itself to the next generation and the next person and your neighbor and the person down the street. We can positively affect everyone around us, including our economy.
Very good. You're right. It gets, it starts to spread, and you start having these little pockets where people start getting a little bit more focused on the intentions of where they want to go and how they want to get there, and it just starts resonating throughout the community. That's very good. Impressive. What is the mechanics? I get the sense that you can help, or your instructors can help with people that are in that area of, yeah, there's something not quite right. You know, I wish I could make a little bit of a change, but I'm not really sure what that is. You've got a program or a workshop that would help them find their way a little bit in that area?
Absolutely. One of the things that I do, it is really a labor of love. It takes a lot of time, and that's a pre-coaching session. I have about a 20-minute coaching session that I do with anyone who's interested, and of course it needs to be scheduled, but 20 minutes, and we go through a series of questions about their career, about their family, about their community and their role in it, and we just talk a lot about what's important to them and how they're going to get there. And through that series of questions and conversation, it's amazing when the light bulb goes off and they say, wow, that's exactly what I need to get where I want to go. And, you know, how do I do that? Many times, because it involves people and it involves themselves, it's about Dale Carnegie Training. But many times it's not. And I'm not so young anymore, so I have lots of people that I know in business, and I have a great network where I refer people to, you know, whether it's helping them meet someone who can fix their air conditioning, to someone who can get them to the next level, get them to understand what does it take to become an engineer, what does it take to work for Hawaiian Dredging, what does it take to get more food on the table for my family. I would really want to be part of the solution, and I live my life that way.
Very good. Well, that's great words of wisdom to share with the audience. And if they wanted to get one of these interviews scheduled with you, they could just go to the website and communicate. There's a contact page. And
there's a contact page, or you can call our office.
Super.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, I appreciate all of this.
My pleasure.
We have run out of time, so we need to wrap up a little bit. This is Business in Hawaii with Reg Baker. We've been interviewing Jan Kaeo, who is the owner and operator of Dale Carnegie in Hawaii and Guam. And we've got some job opportunities here. We've got some life-changing type of training available, and maybe even some corporate benefits, you know, for members of the Chamber of Commerce. So it's been a very good program. I appreciate you being here, Jan.
Thank you.
Next week, we're going to be visiting with a production company that's been involved with Hawaii Five-0 and some other movie productions in the state, and they've been doing this for over 30 years. So please join us next week, Thursday at 2 o'clock. Mahalo.